All right, we're on to part 3 of chapter 12, section 2, matrices, solving a system of equations with a matrix. And in part 1, we talked about how to make a system of equations into a matrix. And in part 2, we talked about how we could get it into a magical form called row-reduced echelon form that then we could write a new system that's a little bit easier to solve. So what we need to do in this video is talk about how to put a matrix into this magical RREF form. And we're going to do that by using what's called Gauss-Jordan elimination, which I believe is named after Gauss and Jordan. And all this does is uses elementary row operations. And when you do an elementary row operation, you create a matrix that's equivalent to your matrix. So they're equivalent, but they look different. And our elementary row operations are actually really similar to what we would do if we were solving the system without a matrix. So we know how we use linear combination, or we multiply a row equation by something, we add it to another row. Those are very similar to our elementary row operation. So we can interchange any two rows. We can replace a row with a multiple of itself, and it would have to be a non-zero multiple. You can't just multiply everything by 0. And you can also replace a row with the sum of itself and another row. And I'm going to show you how to do this on a simple matrix, which is the augmented matrix, let's say from a system of equations that has 2 equations and 2 unknowns. So this is our augmented matrix. And we want to get it into RREF. All right, so we're going to use Gauss-Jordan elimination, which just means just using these elementary row operations to change this into an RREF matrix. So first thing I notice is this is a 1, which is great. I would like this to be a 0. So to get this to be a 0, I'm going to multiply the top by a -4 and then add these together, and that will make it a 0. So if I multiply the first row by -4, I get this, and the second row stays the same. And now I can replace the bottom row with the sum of itself and this row. So the top row is going to remain itself, but the bottom row is going to be replaced with the sum of these 2 rows. So this will be 0, -5, -10. And then I want this to be a 1 again, so I'll go back and now multiply by -1/4. So that will give me back to the original row. And the bottom one, I would like this to be a 1, so I have a leading 1 here. So I'll multiply the bottom row by -1/5, and I'll have this. And I'm very close to RREF, except that if this is a leading 1 right here, this would have to be a 0. So I'm going to have to make this 2 become a 0. I can do that by multiplying the bottom by a -2, and then replacing the top with the sum of those 2, so 1, 0, -3, and then replacing the bottom again with a multiple of itself, so now I'll multiply by -1/2. And there I'm done. I have it in RREF. And if you do this a lot, you get really good at it and it goes really quickly. But you can see here that this took a fair amount of time, and it was a really simple matrix from a really simple system. So if we had a more complicated system with like 3 or 4 variables and 3 or 4 equations, we're going to have a really big matrix, and it's going to take us a long time and a lot of steps to row reduce. And that might make us kind of grumpy, like this guy. So we want to be happy, like these guys. So we're going to not do any RREF by hand because it just takes too long and it's too crazy. So what we're going to do instead is use our calculator. So get your calculators out. And first thing you want to know about using matrices on your calculator is that you have to enter your, I don't know what happened to SpongeBob. He lost his legs or something. And Patrick looks really weird as a Lego, but I don't know. It's kind of fun anyway. First thing you want to do is turn on your calculator, and then you want to make sure that you're using the matrix menu. So you can see above the x to the -1 that we have matrix menu. That's x inverse, by the way. So we're going to access that by second matrix. And here we have names, math, and edit. So first thing you want to do to enter your matrix is go to edit and choose one of the matrices. We'll just choose matrix A. And here I've already put in our matrix, but you can change the dimensions here. You know, we could make this 3 by 4 if we wanted. And then we would have 3 rows with 4 entries, but we really wanted it to be a 2 by 3 because our matrix had 2 rows and 3 columns. And then once you have that, just hit enter, and then you can go into each, you can move around the matrix and put in your entries. And I already have this one put in. All right, so we would go in and enter our entries. Then we can quit out of there. And now if we want to do any kind of operation on the matrix, I would go back to that matrix menu, this time going to math. And under math, I'm going to find RREF, which is pretty far down. It's the B, so the 12th choice, which is RREF. Hit enter. And now I want to tell it which matrix. And I can't just put in an A here because it won't know I'm doing a matrix. So I have to use the brackets. The calculator understands the brackets and not the... Oh, actually, I'm going to actually just go to the matrix menu and just choose 1. So under names, I'm just going to choose A, and it'll just do it for me. So that's how we're going to enter the matrix here, is go to, so again, how I did that was I went to the matrix menu, and under names, I just chose A, because that's where my matrix is. And once I have that, there is my RREF, and you can see it's just like the one that we figured out. And a little bit faster, I would say, just a little bit. All right, so let's go back to the problem we had in the first video with Sam. You guys remember Sam? She had invested some money. So I'm going to go back to those notes. And if you remember this problem, this was Sam's problem. She had put in this money into 3 different funds. And this was the system of equations we got that we had to solve. And so then we had created this matrix, and now we want to solve it. So I'm going to go back to matrix menu, and I'm going to edit matrix A. I wanted it to be, it's 3 rows but 4 columns, so 3 by 4. And then I had 1, 1, 1, 25,000, 1, -4, 0, 0, and 1.1, 1.18, 1.15, 28070. So there's my matrix put in there, and now I want to get RREF for it. So let's quit matrix, math, RREF, and again matrix A, and hit enter, and here is my RREF. And so here we have X is 16,000, Y is 4,000, and Z is 5,000. And there's our answer, and that's really nice. We get one solution with the 1, 1, 1. So we know that Sam, we figured it out for you. Thank you. And that's it.